Okay, so workplaces are, always evolving. And when new generations come in, well, that really changes things up, doesn't it? Today, we're going to dive deep into Generation Z, specifically Gen Z in the professional world. Yeah, our mission here is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
We want to unpack what employers are thinking and what Gen Z thinks too. We're drawing straight from the sources you gave us, and we'll keep the language, nice and simple, easy to follow.
And that's really crucial, isn't it? Bridging those gaps, because we really need that understanding for a productive future, I think. We'll try to get into the why behind these different views, understand where each side is coming from.
Okay, sounds good. So let's start with some of those employer concerns. Our sources, well, they point to this kind of gap in professionalism, maybe. Basic office etiquette with some Gen Z hires. We're talking actual examples like very relaxed dress, maybe a super casual attitude, and even things like using social media, like right in the middle of meetings.
Which employers often see as, disrespectful.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's fascinating how those digital habits really seem to clash with traditional workplace norms. And it's not just that. Employers also mention worries about, work ethic or commitment. And sometimes pretty surprising expectations about getting promoted really fast, like almost immediately.
Wow, okay.
And this brings up communication styles, right? How does that fit in? Especially when you have that very informal online language kind of spilling over into professional emails or chats. The sources even mentioned ghosting bosses.
Ghosting, you mean just disappearing?
Yeah, just stopping all communication. Candidates do it, even employees sometimes. And get this, apparently some parents have even shown up to job interviews.
No way, with your adult kids?
Yeah, it definitely shows how boundaries might be perceived differently now.
So given all that, what are companies actually doing? Our sources say some U.S. companies are actually hiring etiquette experts for Gen Z staff. I mean, it makes me wonder, are they teaching things like making eye contact or how to put on a name tag? Is that really the core issue?
Well, that's a great question. It does highlight a big shift, doesn't it? What's considered basic knowledge seems to be changing. But our sources also hint it might be more than just, bad manners. It could be part of a bigger cultural thing where the lines between personal life and work life have just gotten really blurry, especially for a generation that grew up online.
Right.
And the result, well, nearly half of the hiring managers in one survey said Gen Z is the hardest generation to work with.
Wow, half.
Which, understandably makes some companies hesitant about hiring recent grads.
Okay, but hang on, because this is where it gets really interesting, right? Gen Z sees things very differently. From their point of view, it's often the older generations who have, let's say, not so great work-life boundaries. Always putting work first. But for Gen Z, that balance isn't just a nice extra. It's like essential, non-negotiable. And leadership roles, apparently only a few really prioritize climbing that ladder.
Yeah, exactly. And that focus on balance, it explains trends like quiet quitting.
Right. I've heard that term.
Yeah, where you basically just do your job description, nothing more, nothing less, sticking to the contract to protect your personal time.
Okay.
And then there are lazy jobs, which isn't really about being lazy, but finding roles that are maybe lower stress, more flexible, clear boundaries, and even mouse jiggling. Using tech to look like you're active online.
Seriously, mouse jiggling.
Yep. From Gen Z's perspective, these aren't bad things. They're ways to push back against that always-on work culture they saw maybe their parents deal with, reclaiming time.
So, okay, the big question then is, how do we bridge this? How do we move forward? Our sources really stress that understanding and flexibility from everyone is key.
Absolutely.
Every generation has strengths, right? Gen Z is super tech savvy. They value authenticity, their health. Those are assets.
Precisely. It's not just about one side adapting to the other. It has to be mutual. Like some companies are trying things like reverse mentoring.
Where the younger staff teach the older ones?
Yeah, maybe about new tech. And in return, they get insights into, how things have traditionally been done, navigating the workplace.
That makes sense. A two-way street.
Exactly. It builds real collaboration across generations, helps move past those stereotypes. What this deep dive really shows is that open communication and just being willing to learn from each other, that's going to be essential.
So this whole look reveals that the workplace changes aren't just about tech. It's really about these big gaps in expectations and how we talk to each other across generations.
Yeah. And the fact that companies are actually spending money on teaching things like, basic eye contact. It's more than just a funny story. It really highlights how much the whole idea of professionalism is shifting right now. Makes you rethink what that word even means today.
Definitely. So for you, our listener, we hope this deep dive gives you a clearer, maybe more nuanced picture of this whole generational gap thing happening at work.
And maybe something to think about. With everything changing so fast, what part of adapting to Gen Z joining the workforce do you think is the most important thing for companies to focus on if they want long-term success?